Welcome all. I'm Sarah Bumgardner with AAFMAA, the American Armed Forces Mutual Aid Association. For over 144 years, we have been serving our military community to be the premier provider of financial solutions for the American Armed Forces community. And as a director of partnership and member engagement, I talk with other nonprofit organizations about what they are doing to help service members, their families, veterans, and the military community at large. And today's topic is welcoming new families into local communities through Blue Star Welcome Week, a whole week, September 23rd through October 1st, dedicated for companies, organizations, and members of various communities to welcome those newly PCS service members and their families into their community. Today, I have Leah Love. She serves as the Associate Director of Community Impact at Blue Star Families, supporting military families through leading community-based corporate partnerships, as well as serving as project lead for Blue Star Welcome Week. Leah holds a Bachelor's of Arts in Education from the University of Michigan with a focus on secondary history and political science education, and she is a proud Navy spouse for over 18 years and mother of 2 sons. Leah, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Sarah.
Yeah, I'm really excited to talk about Blue Star Welcome Week, and it's coming up right next week, and all of the initiatives that go along with that. But first, how did you, as a Navy spouse of 18 years, get connected with Blue Star Families?
Absolutely. So I first actually got connected with Blue Star Families back in 2014. I started as a volunteer when we were stationed actually away from any military bases, and I was really looking for the opportunity to connect with other military families. A year later, I started a fellowship program, and I've been here ever since. So I started managing teams of volunteers through our chapters at that time, and as chapters developed, I transitioned into other areas of community engagement. And the main project I now lead is our Blue Star Welcome Week initiative.
Yeah, that's great. And it sounds like you had a firsthand experience with that, right? Going into a new community and finding your way, and Blue Star Families was there for you, and that's wonderful. PCS season is kind of coming to an end. I was a military spouse for 11 years, so very much remember, right, moving all around, I'm sure as you do too. But for many, that's coming to an end. So what are some ways that military families can get better acquainted with their new locations?
So absolutely, getting to know your new duty station is just so important as you're getting settled in a new community. And there's so many different ways to do so, from checking out local parks or events that may be happening, finding area farmers markets, getting yourself and your kids involved in the types of activities or hobbies that you may have. Really putting yourself out there in a multitude of ways is going to help you connect with others. And a few years ago, those of us at Blue Star Families really began to dive into this need to get acquainted with our community. We were not only seeing data come through our military family lifestyle survey, but also through what we were seeing at local level, and many of us as military families ourselves. And out of this really grew what became one of our largest initiatives now, Blue Star Welcome Week. Blue Star Welcome Week is looking to recognize and support the 600,000 military families who transition to new communities every year. We know that when families are making these moves, if they can get connected and really begin to rebuild their networks, everything else is going to improve. Everything from mental health and wellness to their financial stability. Developing that sense of belonging really makes a big difference. So what started as a really somewhat small scale endeavor has grown into a major organization-wide initiative. Last year, we had over 187 events across the country in almost 140 different communities. We had 43 government proclamations that were issued by both local and state government entities. We even had 42 different school districts who posted welcoming messages to military students and their families. This has grown to really involve some major partners, media outreach, partner events and activities. We're really looking to inspire a movement of support for our military families. One of the important pieces as we've grown the initiative has really been diving into what does create community. You know, how do we, each of us, create community as we move to new locations? Schools, libraries, kids activities, community organizations all play such an important part. Even asking for recommendations on favorite restaurants or special events, or maybe some things that are happening around the holidays in the place where you moved. These are all things that really help us get connected in our new areas.
Yeah, that's great. And when we think about that, I mean, 600,000, right, service members and their families are moving every year into these new communities, you know, as they're transitioning in their military careers. And I think it's one kind of a testament to the survey and that Blue Star Families does in collecting that data to say what are some of the pain points or pressure points and how can we help alleviate that for our military families, and highlighting this and saying, you know, if we can make them feel more welcomed into their community, make them feel a part of it, then it makes life a little bit easier, right? That from financial stability to a sense of having friendships or a place to go, right? Libraries, community places. So, you know, that's wonderful that Blue Star Families obviously saw that and took action upon that. And now it is, you know, Welcome Week, which is huge. So when we talk about ways communities can support military families, whether that's organizations or companies within the community, what are some things that they can do?
So I think the biggest thing is that there's ways for everyone to get involved. So no matter if you are a business or you're a community center or you're simply a neighbor looking at how to help, there's something that you can do. Growing awareness of military families in your community is important. Intentionally recognizing or reaching out to those military families. There actually last year, as part of Blue Star Welcome Week, there was a school district in Virginia who had posted about Welcome Week and a supportive message to military families. And there was a military spouse who actually replied to the posting and was just so appreciative that this school district that they were new to would take the time and effort to post that welcoming messages. So it can be something, you know, pretty simple. But really modeling that type of welcoming atmosphere that you're hoping to develop in your community can make a difference. So schools, even things like, you know, recognizing military kids on your morning announcements or creating a buddy system for new students. If you're a library, conducting outreach to make sure military families are aware of programs that you have, or maybe some special resources that you may be able to provide. If you're a business, first and foremost, hiring military spouses, but also even just building the cultural competency through your business around military family lifestyle or challenges that they may have. All can be helpful.
Yeah. And when we talk about, you know, challenges, right, that there are some challenges with having to move maybe every 2 to 4 years, right? And being able to PCS, move into a new community, start over in essence. And with that, that can cause some hardships for families. So how can those military families you know, reach resources if they're having that financial hardship due to having to move?
Absolutely. So we know relocation is financially stressful time for our military families. In 2022, we actually conducted a housing and relocation pulse check that showed that the average out-of-pocket costs just for the temporary housing associated with a PCS move was over $1,700. The majority, 81% of folks from that pulse check, active duty family respondents, reported spending more than $2,000 upfront in housing costs in order to secure permanent housing. So there are many resources to help ease this burden. Each branch of the service has aid societies with programs available to support service members and families. So that's a really great starting point for folks. There also are some free financial counseling offerings through organizations such as Military One Source, or some financial institutions also offer resources. So be sure to check with the financial providers that you use for services that they may have available as well. AAFMAA has a great career assistance program, CAP loan, which is a $5,000 personal loan payable over 5 years that you can use for any way that you need for E5 to 04 for those folks who are AAFMAA members. So there are resources out there to help. So be sure to check out the resources that may be available to you and utilize them. Additionally, PCSing can also be a time that you can be a little bit more susceptible to identity theft. So in addition to those resources, keep tabs on your credit scores, credit card charges, things like that, just to make sure that you're safe.
Yeah, those are great recommendations. And I think kind of the big picture there is to just know that there are resources out there, right? If you are one of those 81% of the population that has moved and is incurring a cost, that if you're needing a little bit of help, that there are resources for you to be able to go to. And that's kind of part of, Blue Star Families initiatives and Blue Star Welcome Week is making sure that, our military families know about these resources, whether they're locally or nationwide or where you can go for that help. So, and when we talk about connecting to Blue Star families into this Welcome Week, if there is, a spouse out there who's listening and goes, gosh, I want to know what's happening in my community, how can they find that out? Where can they go?
Absolutely. So bluestarwelcomeweek.org is the best place to head to. You're going to see lots of different opportunities of how to get involved there. So you can see our event listings for military families across the country. We even have some opportunities for folks who may be stationed overseas. There's sample copy for sharing welcome messages on social media. So we would love to have everyone be, blowing up social media with welcome message for our military families. There's a schools toolkit if you happen to be connected to a school. There's a community toolkit if you're looking for how to get your community involved. And we even have a partner event registration, which allows other partner organizations to register their event. AAFMAA is actually hosting an event next week at Fort Myer alongside United Through Reading. That's going to be on the 26th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. So if you're in the Fort Myer area, definitely check that out. But yes, bluestarwelcomeweek.org is the place to be and check out how to get involved.
That's great. And any organization or people who are in the community and say, I want to do something, I want to be a part of this, I want to welcome those families, they also, can go to that bluestarwelcomeweek.org and they can find a way to be a part of it as well, to welcome those families. So I hope everybody gets an opportunity to check that out. And I really want to thank you today, Leah, for coming on, for telling us about Blue Star Families, some of your initiatives. Tell us about Blue Star Welcome Week and joining us and talking about this. It's a really important conversation to have, especially as 600,000 people have just recently moved and need to be welcomed.
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much for having me, Sarah.
You're welcome. Well, that's going to wrap up our live for today. I am Sarah Bumgardner. If you would like more information about AAFMAA and financial readiness within the military community, of course, you can subscribe here to the QR code on your screen. Otherwise, I thank you for joining today, and I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your day. Bye now.